Passarella, football in his blood, a hammer for a left foot, a passionate heart and a head for leadership. In short, a complete football player. And it was only fitting that someone of his quality should lift Argentina's first ever World Cup.
Chacabuco is an important farming and stock breeding area. It's a city of approximately 50,000 inhabitants, and the city has a big festival, which is known as the Corn Festival.
Tiene como fiesta de la ciudad, la fiesta del maíz.
Daniel Passarella was born in Chacabuco, his father of Italian origin, his mother of Spanish nationality, the two great lines of immigrants that helped build Argentina.
Soy primo hermano de Daniel.
I'm a first cousin of Daniel. I can tell you that this is the house where he was born. Would you like to come inside? Yes, come inside. You might want to see the back of the house. The wall that you see there was the end of the garden of Daniel Passarella's house. I mean the house where he grew up. He was a real terror when he was a child. My mother was living with me. She was very old. And do you know what he'd do? He'd come in the back door and his feet would be covered in mud. Maybe I'd just finished changing my mother's bed, and do you know what he'd do straight away? He'd get down under the bedclothes because his mother would be after him to smack him, because he really was awful, an absolute terror, but we loved him so much.
Lo de la zurda empezó debido a que a los 9 años.
I started being left-footed when I was 9 years old, and I had an accident. I was traveling in a truck with my family. My grandfather had had a serious operation. My grandmother had made a promise that if he survived, we'd all go to the Lujan Basilica. They were going to the Lujan to keep a vow, and the truck overturned on the way back. My mother was in it, his mother, him, all of them. There were 35 in there, all together. The whole family was in the truck because we couldn't afford anything else. My uncle was driving and we were all in the back, sitting on benches along the sides of the truck. And on the way back, we overturned. Luckily, no one died, but many were injured. And I broke my right leg. I was right-footed before that. I had my leg in plaster for about 50 days, so I kicked with the left. I'd lie in bed and kick a ball against the bedroom wall. But when I dived to catch a ball, I couldn't get up. They'd pick me up afterwards. I started using my left foot and became a left-footer. I really liked jumping. Yes, jumping. I had the sensation of, well, I'm relatively small. You see, I measure 5'9", and I loved jumping, and I practiced lots of jumps with headers. And I felt as if I was suspended in the air. I had that sensation. I remembered that I'd be at the crossbar and I'd see over it when I was jumping. I don't know if that's happened to anyone else. I'm not so lucky now, but when I used to play, I was lucky enough to dream I was flying. I dreamt I was flying. To jump for a header, I'd take 2 steps and jump. It was the same in the dream. 2 steps and I was flying. I dreamt that I was flying, and it was a beautiful dream.
Argentino from Chacabuco was the first team that Daniel Passarella played in. This was an early example of his strong, independent character, because his father was president of the rival club Racing. The next step was the move to the third division club Sarmiento de Junín. The trainer didn't want him, but the management applied pressure for him to stay.
The coach who was there at the time wouldn't let me play. Halfway through the championship, they dismissed him and Raúl Hernández took over. That's where I met Raúl Hernández. If he hadn't have appeared, I think he would still be in Sarmiento de Junín. I remember after the first practice, after the first soccer practice, I'd been playing in the substitute team, not the first team. When he took over, he said that he would respect the team lineups. I was watching the practice sessions and I could see him. He kicks the ball well. He headed well. And when the ball was at his feet, he was no fool. I was really amazed that he wasn't playing in the first team. I was leaving with the players to get showered. He called me to come over to where he was. So I looked at him and went over to join him at his table. That was the first practice he had seen, and he said, "On Saturday, I'm going to field the team that's been playing with the other coach. But after the next game," he said, "you are going to play. And you will only leave the team if you are injured or suspended. No matter how badly you play, I will keep putting you on." And that's really how my footballing story began.
Bueno, y así empezó mi historia.
My whole family supported Boca, except my grandmother. And I'd always say to her that when I'm big and play for Boca, Grandma, we're going to beat you all the time. She would say that when you're big, you'll play for River, not Boca. I came to Buenos Aires to try for Boca. I lived there for 3 months and they didn't want me. Then when Hernandez discovered me in 1973, playing with Sarmiento de Junín, he asked me which team I wanted to be in. I asked him if I was really in a position to choose which team I wanted to be in. He said that I was. From how he had seen me play, he said that I could choose. I said I wanted to go back to Boca. But he replied that I'd been there and they'd thrown me out, but I wanted to try again. He suggested to Boca that they give me a tryout. I was 20 by then. That meant they had to give me a professional contract. And he spoke to one of the executives, and that executive asked him where I played. He said I was number 3 or number 6. The executive said no, they wanted numbers 9 or 10, because they had plenty of 6s and 3s. He told Hernandez that he was sorry, but he wouldn't try me out. And I remember clearly that Hernandez said, "No, I am really sorry for you. You don't want the player." No one could see it. I don't understand. What do the managers and coaches see? I don't know what they see.
In May '73, the Argentinian team, led by Enrique Omar Sivori, played a friendly match. Passarella's team, chosen for the occasion by Antonio Roma.
When the Sarmiento players finished lunch, we got up. And as we were leaving, Hernandez called me over. So I went over to the table. Rotias, Sivori, Nestor Rossi, and Beto Menendez were there. I thought I was dreaming. Hernandez introduced me to everyone. The national team's coach, Sivori, Pippo Rossi. I met them all. When I'd finished the meetings and greetings, he said, "Tomorrow, do you want to play with Sarmiento or the national team?" Hernandez said that. I was surprised, you know. And I said to him, "What's going on? That I can choose between the national team and Sarmiento." No, you don't have to ask anything, you just have to answer, said Hernandez. Sarmiento or the national team? And I said, "I want to play with Sarmiento." When I said that, everyone at the table started to laugh. Hernandez, he got angry. "Why do you want to play for Sarmiento? You are getting a chance to play with the national team." I said, "I want to play with Sarmiento. Because if I play well with the national team, they'll say it was because of the other players. But if I do it with Sarmiento, I'll get double praise." Everyone was surprised. And he said to me, "Just go up to bed." Well, at that time, Pippo Rossi became the coach for River, and because of his friendship with Raúl Hernandez, I went to River. I had a tryout in a classic River-Boca game, and that's how I got started. And so this Rossi said to me, this new Pele, is he a phenomenon? I don't know if he's a phenomenon or not. I'm telling you what the kid is like. All right, he said. Bring him. Now, when Hernandez insisted that they give me a tryout, he spoke to Pipo and told him that he should see me play. Pipo said to bring me along for the practice session. Hernandez said, no, this isn't a player for practices, this is a player for games. Pipo answered, you don't expect me to use him in the River Boca match on Wednesday. I want to see him in that game, Hernandez answered. No, I haven't seen him play, said Pipo. If you think I know about soccer, let him play. No, I trust you, the coach replied, but I haven't seen him play. Then he said, bring him along tomorrow, I want to talk to him. So the next day, Monday, I went to River, and he said to me, you know who's playing on Wednesday? Yes, I said. It isn't Sarmiento de Junin and Mirland, it's River and Boca, televised nationwide. Do you want to play the first or second half? I said, no, put me on in the first half, maestro. I'll score a goal for you in the first half. Now, when I answered him like that, he said a very dirty word. He grabbed me by the arm and said to Hernandez, I'll let him play on Wednesday. And he did.
Right from the start, Passarella made his conditions clear. Lebruna took over at River and wanted him to play on the left wing. Passarella had other ideas, centre half or nothing.
I was a substitute in River, not a player, because Lebruna wanted me to play number 3, and I wouldn't. And Beto Menendez, Sivori and Pipo said, but you could be in the team that'll be champions after 17 years. I didn't care. I wanted to play number 6. I told Lebruna that when he had nobody to wear number 3, I would play. Because he had Hector Lopez, he had Lito Bernardes. If they were injured or suspended, I would play. But otherwise, I wouldn't. I'd stay on the bench. And that's when Menotti called me for the junior national side.
Argentina, with Passarella as captain, won the Hope Tournament in Toulon in France. His reputation by now was firmly established. 6 championship titles in 7 years with River Plate. Then in 1975 there's a serious dispute between River Plate and the trainer of the national team, Cesar Luis Menotti, as he began preparations for the 1978 World Cup. The River Plate players had to choose between playing for their club or their country.
When Menotti asked me, I said I wanted to play for the national team. I remember Menotti said to me, when you go back to River, they'll criticize you. I said, no, they'll applaud. Why, he asked. Because I'll play well. They'll have to applaud. I didn't play for the national team, I was a substitute. One day, Pizzarotti, who was now trainer for me with the national team, called me to his room and said he wanted to talk to me. He asked me, are you like this? The way you seem to be in the pre-match preparations, in the training sessions, in the games, collaborating with the other players. I said, yes. Why? You're not pretending, he asked. I said, no, it's real. Obviously, I'm in a foul mood because we all want to play. But do you know what keeps me calm? What, he said. On June the 2nd, at 7:15 in 1978, I will go onto the pitch wearing a number 6 shirt. He was stunned. We were anxious to play, and we wanted to make the people feel good. That's because it was a difficult time then in Argentina.
Comunicado número 1 de la Junta Militar. Se comunica a la población que a partir de la fecha el país se encuentra bajo el control operacional de la Junta Militar.
The government in power then was lying to the people. They were promising things they couldn't achieve, and people were living in a state of great confusion and of fear. So they unleashed all their internal rage by supporting the national team. We experienced things and saw things which were inexplicable. How the people followed us and waited for us on the journey, from José Si Paz to the stadium. Women with holy statues praying, and when we came back they were still praying. People were hanging off bridges.
A natural-born winner, a proud, challenging presence, an aggressive centre-half with perfect timing. Always the first to get to the cross, an incredibly powerful left foot, both for passing and shooting. An unbeatable header in both areas, able to jump like a cat.
We beat Poland 2-0 in a game in which we were the better side. We created better situations. It could have been complicated by a penalty which could have meant a draw. Phil will stop it, but we deserved to win. Kempes started there, and badly. In fact, in the first 3 games he didn't play well. I think the team suffered a bit because of that. Mario had joined the team at the very last minute. He had never worked with us before that. To encourage him psychologically, we made him shave his moustache. We told him, the moustache is taking all your strength. And luckily, it worked.
Sunday, the 25th of June 1978, was a triumphant occasion for Argentinian football. 80,000 spectators crammed into the monumental stadium to watch the final against Holland. In the 37th minute of the match, after play between Ardiles and Luque, Kempes scored the opening goal.
We should have won the game in the 90 minutes, but we missed lots of good chances. I missed 2. The goalkeeper stopped one, the other went over the bar. We should have settled the game sooner. We went into extra time. We didn't even realise about the upright. We didn't think then that we could have lost the World Cup. Then when you see the video, it just happened that I was the one among the 25 million people in the country, which remember was in a bad way at the time, to lift the World Cup, and in that way achieve what 25 million Argentines wanted, which was to win. The only thing I remember is that a fairly stout guy took me on his shoulders and he carried me all around the river pitch on the athletics track. That was quite something. The river pitch is very big. Well, about 5 years ago, more or less, 4 or 5 years, that guy, he turned up at River and said, I was the one who carried you. When I got a good look at his face, I realised it was him. What I remember clearly is that when they put me down, a security guard came up to me and he said, give me the cup. We have to take it to the company which is insuring it so that they can keep it. I said, no, I won't. He said, come on, I have to take it. It was hard work for winning the cup for Argentina. I don't know you, I said, so I'm not going to give it to you. And I didn't. Winning the World Cup, it's like an orgasm that lasts 4 years until the next World Cup. That's my definition of it.
Including Maradona in his World Cup debut, but they were accused of being undisciplined and letting fame go to their heads.
Well, that's the best team that Argentina ever had, as far back as I remember, the 1982 team. Because of the names, everything. And we didn't do well because we'd lost it at the technical level and at the players' level. That hunger for glory that we'd had in the 1978 World Cup, and in soccer, that's fatal.
The World Cup coincided with a tragic event for Argentina, the Falklands War.
You can't turn the clock back. But if I could, in that same situation today, I wouldn't play in the World Cup. We didn't know what was going on. We found out when we got to Spain. Back there, we were winning the war. When we got to Spain, it was different. So many kids were dying every day. It shocked us. We didn't take the decision because we didn't realise, or we didn't have the intelligence to decide not to play in the World Cup. If it were today, I wouldn't play.
In 1982, River sold Passarella to Italy. At first, he found it difficult to adapt and make his mark, first at Fiorentina, then at Inter Milan. He was the highest-scoring defender in a single season in the history of Italian football. 12 goals in all. His stay in Italy, though, was not, however, entirely without conflict.
We were losing an important game against Sampdoria in Genoa. If we won, we'd be in first place. But we were losing 2-1 with 15 minutes left. When the ball went out, the ball boys couldn't catch them. They were kids of around 17 or so. Anyway, I was working like crazy in the game. When I went after the ball, I kicked one of the ball boys when he didn't get it. Well, they massacred me in Italy. I was suspended for 6 matches. I appealed and it was reduced to 1 game. I was with Inter and they fined me. They fined me heavily. $80,000. And I had to pay it. And I've been playing hard like that for Inter, so that we'd get the ball and manage to get a draw from the match. So, after that, I packed my bags. I thought I had to leave there, obviously. But over the season, they saw how I was, and they asked me to stay on another year after that. I scored over 200 goals in my career. A lot of people don't know that. Sometimes they say, well, you scored a lot of penalties. And I say, yes, but if you aren't good enough to take a penalty, they send you to defend in case there's a counter-attack.
Passarella con fuerza, gol!
Meanwhile, Carlos Bilardo takes over as the Argentinian national team coach and names Maradona as captain. Relations between Diego and Daniel, up to then captain, have become increasingly cold, finally non-existent. In the qualifying rounds, Argentina are unconvincing, and they have a very hard time qualifying. Just minutes before the end of the match, Passarella scores the goal that puts them through, and the crowd erupts in joy. The stadium resounds with the cry of Passarella. No mean feat when Maradona's playing in the same team.
No sé cómo me enfermé en México.
I don't know how I got ill in Mexico. It was supposed to be the perfect end for me as regards the World Cup, but I got sick and I couldn't play. All I know is that I had serious amoebic dysentery and really never left the bathroom. I had permanent diarrhea. I lost 15 pounds. I was in hospital for a week. They gave me 44 pints of saline solution. Now in the room where I was staying, there was a little stool by the bed. So I got up and took the stool. I've rarely said what I'm going to say now. There we were surrounded by football pitches, and I put this stool from the room in the middle of the pitch. I sat down and I started to cry because the World Cup was going on and I couldn't play. I went back to Argentina to play for River, but I didn't want to play. I really didn't want to play, but they kept on and persuaded me.
Yo ya no podía.
I couldn't play anymore, but they persuaded me to play for another year, and I couldn't wait to get out of there. I didn't want to play anymore.
No quería jugar
I was
más.
36,
36 años.
and I gave it up. Now, the referee who sent me off in my last game and disallowed my 100th goal on the Boca pitch was Juan Baba.
Era Juan Baba.
And I'll say now what I said then, so that whoever sees this again will know that I didn't say it in the heat of the moment. I was calm when I said it. He sent me off in that match because he was a Boca fan. When I said that publicly, he denied it. He got angry. Well, now he admits it publicly, that he was a Boca fan. He sent me off unfairly in my last game. Graziani elbowed Cerezulla on one of the sidelines. When I saw that he wasn't sending Graziani off and let the game go on, I ran over to the linesman and I said to him, "You saw it." Now afterwards, when everything had calmed down, the referee called me and Graziani to him, and he sent us both off. And he disallowed the 100th goal because he was a Boca fan. That was it. Nothing else. It would have been great for me to finish in that game. I'd already decided I was going to retire, and nobody else knew that. Except for one, no, two people, and they were my wife and Juan Baba. What has soccer been in my life? Well, I think that after my family, it's been everything. After my mother and father, for I'm an only child, and my family, my wife, my children. Well, my son, because my son Sebastian died, as you know, in a car crash.
A terrible event marked the last stage of his career, the death of his son Sebastian in a tragic traffic accident. Those close to him tell us that this loss changed him profoundly.
I can't really answer a player who says that he's going to give up the game and then asks me how I felt when I gave it up. I can't, because I was given the best sedative for an ex-player, and that's managing. 2 or 3 months after I retired, I was offered a job as a manager, so I never felt any nostalgia for soccer. I never missed it, because gradually I got eased out of what had been my life for so long. For the first time, I was discovering places in Argentina that didn't have a soccer pitch. Then they asked me to be a coach. I'd agreed with my wife that I was going to play until about that age and then enjoy life a bit. Then, when they wanted me to be a coach, my wife said, "You're not going back to soccer again." I said no. It's just for a year and as a coach. They only want me for a year. And anyway, if you're a coach, you have much more free time. My wife still wants to kill me because it's been 7 years now, almost 8, and there's no end in sight yet to my coaching. Because I discovered my other hidden passion, which was to be a football coach. I always said I'd never be a coach. If I could choose again between any sport or any activity, I'd be a footballer. It's the greatest for me. You have to do something, but I bet that if you did a world survey, soccer would win hands down. I thank God for all he's given me, and for what he's taken from me. I don't thank him.